I had a heart attack at 58 years old. I called my husband, my 3 children, my 2 sisters. I texted them from the ambulance. Heart attack. Going to St. Mary's Hospital. Please come. Not one of them showed up. Not one, but someone did come. Someone I never expected. And what that person told me in that hospital room changed everything. My name is Patricia Williams. I'm 58 years old, and I'm speaking to you from a small apartment in Charleston, South Carolina, a city I moved to 6 months ago where nobody from my old life can find me. For 35 years, I thought I had a family, a husband who loved me, children who needed me, sisters who would be there when it mattered. I was wrong about all of them. But that heart attack, that moment when I thought I was dying alone, it showed me the truth, and the truth set me free. Before I take you back to that hospital room, before I tell you who walked through that door and what they revealed, I need you to subscribe right now. We're building this community to 10,000 subscribers, and your support keeps these stories alive. Hit that subscribe button. Because what happened after my family abandoned me in that hospital, the secrets I uncovered, the revenge I got, will make you question every relationship you think is solid. Nothing is guaranteed, not even family. Let me start 3 months before the heart attack. That's when the cracks started showing, though I was too blind to see them. It was my birthday, my 58th birthday. I'd spent weeks planning a family dinner at my favorite restaurant, Magnolia's, this beautiful place downtown with the best she crab soup you've ever tasted. I'd made reservations for 8 people, me, my husband Robert, our 3 kids, Daniel, 32, Michelle, 29, and Aaron, 26, and my 2 sisters, Carol and Janet. I was so excited. I'd barely seen my kids in months. Daniel lived 2 hours away in Colombia, working some finance job I never fully understood. Michelle was in Atlanta, married with 2 babies I hardly ever got to see. Aaron still lived in town, but was always busy with his startup business that never seemed to actually start. The reservation was for 7 p.m. on a Saturday. I got there at 6:45, wearing a new dress I'd bought specifically for the occasion. Emerald green. Robert always said I looked good in green. I sat at the table alone, checking my phone every 30 seconds. 7 p.m. came, no one. 7:15. I texted the family group chat. I'm here! Can't wait to see everyone. 7:30. Daniel responded. Sorry, Mom, got stuck at work. Can't make it. 7:45. Michelle. Mom, I'm so sorry, the kids are sick. Rain check. 8 p.m. Aaron. Totally forgot. Made plans with friends. Happy birthday, though. My sisters never even responded. And Robert, my husband of 35 years, he texted me at 8:20. Got called into the office. Emergency. Order yourself something nice. I'll pay. I sat there until 8:30, alone at a table set for 8, while the waiter kept asking if my party was coming. Finally, I ordered a glass of wine and the she crab soup, ate it by myself, paid the bill with my own credit card because Robert never sent money like he'd promised. I cried the whole drive home. When I got there, Robert was on the couch watching a basketball game. Not at the office. At home, in sweatpants. I thought you had an emergency at work, I said quietly. Oh, they handled it. Didn't need me after all. He didn't even look up from the TV. It was my birthday dinner, Robert. I know, babe. We'll do something next weekend. We never did. That should have been my first clue. But I told myself everyone was just busy. Life happens. People get overwhelmed. They still loved me. I kept telling myself that lie for 3 more months. During those months, I barely heard from anyone. Daniel stopped returning my calls. Michelle would text back days later with one-word responses. Aaron came by once to borrow $500 for his business and left 10 minutes after I handed him the check. My sisters? Carol was suddenly too busy with her book club and her yoga classes. Janet was traveling with her new boyfriend and couldn't be bothered to call. And Robert. Robert was there physically but gone in every way that mattered. He worked late every night, came home, ate dinner in silence, went to bed. We hadn't had a real conversation in weeks, hadn't touched each other in months. I felt invisible, like I was disappearing and no one even noticed. I threw myself into work. I was a nurse at Charleston Regional Hospital, had been for 30 years. I loved my job, loved taking care of people, loved feeling useful. Because at home, I felt useless, unnecessary, forgotten. Then came the morning of September 15th. I woke up at 5 a.m. like always, got ready for my shift. Robert was already gone. He'd started leaving for work before I even woke up. I made coffee, packed my lunch, drove to the hospital. The shift started normal. Checked vitals on my patients, administered medications, chatted with the other nurses during our break. But around noon, I started feeling off. My chest felt tight, heavy, like someone was sitting on it. My left arm tingled. I felt nauseous. I told myself it was just stress, just anxiety. I'd been feeling anxious for months. This was nothing, but the pain got worse, sharper, radiating up my neck into my jaw. One of the doctors saw me clutching my chest. Dr. Morrison. Young guy, maybe 35. Always kind to the nurses. Patricia? You okay? I think I'm just... The room spun. I grabbed the nurse's station counter. I think I need to sit down. You're having a heart attack. He said it so calmly, so matter-of-fact. Someone get a wheelchair! Call cardiology. Everything happened fast after that. They wheeled me to the ER, started an IV, hooked me up to monitors, gave me aspirin, nitroglycerin. The pain was incredible, like my chest was being crushed in a vice. Dr. Morrison stayed with me. Patricia, we need to call your family. Who should we contact? My husband, Robert Williams. I gave them his number. They called. It rang and rang. Went to voicemail. Try again, I whispered. Please. They tried 3 more times. No answer. What about your children? I gave them Daniel's number. Michelle's, Aaron's. They called all 3. Daniel didn't answer. Michelle didn't answer. Aaron answered and said, I'm at work. Can this wait? When they told him his mother was having a heart attack, he said, I'll try to get there. Then hung up. They wheeled me up for an emergency cardiac catheterization. They found a blockage, 90% blocked. Another few minutes and I would have died. They put in a stent, saved my life. When I woke up in the cardiac ICU, it was 4 p.m., 6 hours since the heart attack started. I looked around the room hoping to see faces. My husband, my kids, someone. The room was empty, just me and the monitors beeping. A nurse came in, someone I didn't know from a different floor. How are you feeling, Mrs. Williams? Has anyone come? My family? She looked uncomfortable. Not yet, but I'm sure they're on their way. They weren't. I lay there alone until visiting hours ended at 8 p.m. No one came. I texted Robert from my phone. I had a heart attack. I'm in ICU at St. Mary's, room 412. Please come. He read it. I saw the read receipt. But he didn't respond. Didn't come. I texted my kids. All 3. Mom had a heart attack today. I'm okay, but would love to see you. Daniel. Glad you're okay. Swamped at work this week. I'll visit when things calm down. Michelle. OMG, Mom, that's scary. Can't come tonight. Kids have activities. Feel better. Aaron never responded. I texted my sisters. Neither of them even read the messages. I cried myself to sleep that night, alone in a hospital room, having just survived a heart attack. And not one person who supposedly loved me could be bothered to show up. The next morning, I woke to a knock on the door. Finally, I thought. Someone came. The door opened. But it wasn't Robert. Wasn't my kids. Wasn't my sisters. It was my daughter-in-law, Michelle's husband, Derek. I barely knew Derek. He was quiet. Stayed in the background at family gatherings. Let Michelle do all the talking. I'd probably had 5 real conversations with him in the 7 years. He'd been married to my daughter. Derek? I was so confused. What are you doing here? He looked nervous, uncomfortable. He pulled a chair up next to my bed and sat down. Mrs. Williams, I need to talk to you. And you're not going to like what I have to say. But someone needs to tell you the truth. My heart monitor started beeping faster. What truth? Where's Michelle? Where's Robert? That's what I need to talk to you about. He took a deep breath. Your family didn't come yesterday. Because they don't care that you had a heart attack. And I know why. That's not true. They're just busy. Mrs. Williams, stop. Please, they're not busy. They're waiting for you to die. The room went silent except for the monitors. What? I wasn't supposed to tell you. Michelle made me promise not to, but I can't live with this anymore. You deserve to know. He pulled out his phone. 3 months ago, your family had a meeting. Without you. At your house while you were at work? What kind of meeting? About your will. About your life insurance. About what happens when you die. I felt sick. Why would they? Because your husband told them you have stage 4 cancer and only have a few months to live. I stared at him. I don't have cancer. I know. I figured that out when you had a heart attack and not cancer symptoms. But that's what Robert told everyone. He said you'd been diagnosed 6 months ago, that you were dying, that you were hiding it from everyone because you didn't want to burden them. That's insane. Why would he say that? Because of your life insurance policy, the big one, from the hospital. The one that pays out $500,000 when you die. I did have that policy. benefit from working at the hospital for 30 years. But I hadn't thought about it in years. Robert called this family meeting and told everyone you were dying. He showed them the policy, told them how it would be split. Then he made a proposal. Derek pulled up a recording on his phone. I recorded this. I felt wrong about it from the beginning. I needed proof of what they were doing. He pressed play, and I heard my husband's voice coming through the tiny speaker. So here's what I'm thinking. Patricia doesn't know she's dying. The doctors told me but said I should wait to tell her. Make her last months happy, so I think we should do the same. Don't visit too much. Don't make a big deal about things. Let her think everything's normal. That way she doesn't get suspicious and change the will. What about her birthday? That was Daniel's voice. She wants to do that dinner. Skip it. Make excuses. The less we engage, the less she'll expect. When she passes, we can all act surprised and devastated. No one will question it. What if she wants to talk about her diagnosis? Carol's voice, my sister. She won't. I'll tell her the doctors said talking about it makes it worse. She'll believe me. Patricia believes everything I say. Laughter. My family was laughing. How long does she have? Aaron asked. Doctor said 6 months max? It's already been 3. So maybe 3 more months. Thanksgiving at the latest. We'll have a big funeral. Cry a lot. Then split the insurance money. How much do we each get? Janet, my other sister, $500,000 total. I get half since I'm the spouse. That's $250,000. The other $250 splits between the 5 of you. $50,000 each. That's it? $50,000? Daniel sounded disappointed. It's $50,000 for literally doing nothing except waiting. I think you'll survive. More laughter. What about her pension? Her savings? Michelle's voice. All mine. I'm the beneficiary on everything. But I'll be generous. After the dust settles, I'll throw in an extra 10 grand each for helping keep up appearances. Deal, Daniel said. Deal, Michelle agreed. I'm in, Aaron said. Same, Carol and Janet said together. The recording ended. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't process what I'd just heard. My family, my entire family, had gathered together and decided to emotionally abandon me so I'd die faster and they could collect insurance money. Insurance money from a death that wasn't even happening because I didn't have cancer. I'm so sorry, Derek whispered. I've wanted to tell you for months, but Michelle threatened to leave me if I said anything. But when you had that heart attack yesterday and not one of them came, I couldn't do it anymore. You deserve to know. Does Michelle know you're here? No, she thinks I'm at work. She's going to kill me for this. But I don't care. This is wrong. What they're doing is wrong. I looked at this young man, this son-in-law I barely knew, who just destroyed my entire world to save me from wolves in my own family. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you for telling me. He nodded, stood up. I have to go. Michelle will get suspicious. But Mrs. Williams? Whatever you do with this information, make them pay. They don't deserve your mercy. He left. Next, I called Derek. He answered on the first ring. Mrs. Williams? Derek, I need more information. In that recording, Robert mentioned doctors. He said doctors told him I had cancer. Do you know which doctors? He never said specifically. Just kept saying the doctors. But Mrs. Williams. I don't think he ever talked to any doctors. I think he made the whole thing up. That's what I thought too. But I need to prove it. Did he show anyone medical records? Test results? Anything? No, he just talked. And everyone believed him because why would he lie about something like that? For $500,000, apparently. I paused. Derek, did Michelle say anything else after that meeting? Anything about me? Long silence. Derek? She said she was relieved, that she wouldn't have to pretend to care anymore, that you'd always been needy and exhausting, and she was glad it would be over. Soon, his voice cracked. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Williams. I should have said something sooner. My daughter, my baby girl who I'd raised, sacrificed for, loved unconditionally. She thought I was needy and exhausting. She was relieved I was dying. It's not your fault, Derek. You did the right thing telling me. One more question. Are you safe? Is Michelle suspicious? She doesn't know I came to the hospital. I told her I had a work thing. But Mrs. Williams, I can't keep lying to her. This is eating me alive. You won't have to lie much longer. I promise. Just hold on a little while more. After I hung up with Derek, I did something I should have done months ago. I went through Robert's things. His office was downstairs. He always kept it locked, said he needed privacy for work calls and client information. I'd respected that boundary for 35 years. Not anymore. I found his spare key in the kitchen. Junk drawer, he'd always been careless about hiding things. And I opened his office door. His desk was immaculate. Computer, printer, file organizer. I started with the files, bank statements. Not from our joint account, from an account I didn't know existed. An account in Robert's name only. I pulled out the most recent statement. Balance, $127,493. Where did that money come from? I kept looking. Found statements going back 2 years. Deposits, consistent deposits. $1,500 here, $2,000 there, $3,000. Always in odd amounts, never the same. Then I found a folder labeled Rental Income. Rental income? We didn't own any rental property. I opened the folder. Lease agreements. For a condo in Myrtle Beach. A condo I'd never heard of. A condo Robert apparently bought 4 years ago and had been renting out ever since, pocketing all the income for himself. The condo was worth $350,000, according to the property appraisal in the file. And it was in Robert's name only. Purchased before our marriage, the paperwork said. But we'd been married 35 years. We didn't own anything before our marriage except my nursing school loans. And his beat-up Honda. I kept digging. Found the actual purchase documents. The condo was bought 4 years ago, not before our marriage. During our marriage, using money from a business loan Robert had taken out through his company, which meant it was a marital asset, which meant I was entitled to half of it in a divorce. Robert had been hiding assets, funneling money into secret accounts, building a financial escape plan. He was getting ready to leave me. Then I found the folder that made everything click into place. It was labeled Life Insurance Policies. Inside was my hospital policy. $500,000 payout, Robert as primary beneficiary. But there was another policy, one I'd never seen before, a private life insurance policy on me for $1 million, taken out 18 months ago, with Robert as the sole beneficiary. I sat down hard in his desk chair. Robert had taken out an additional life insurance policy on me without my knowledge, forged my signature on the application, and stood to collect $1.5 million when I died. This wasn't about waiting for me to die naturally. This was about Robert killing me, or at least that's what he'd been planning before. I inconveniently survived a heart attack. Instead of developing the fake cancer, he'd told everyone I had. My hands were shaking. I pulled out my phone and took pictures of everything. Every bank statement, every rental document, every insurance policy, every piece of evidence that proved Robert was a liar, a thief, and possibly a murderer. Then I put everything back exactly where I'd found it, locked the office, and went upstairs. Robert came home at 7 with takeout Chinese food. "How are you feeling?" he asked, setting the bags on the counter. "Tired? The doctor said I need to rest." "Good, you should. Go lie down. I'll bring you dinner." He was being nice, attentive, playing the concerned husband, because he thought I was dying, thought his plan was still working. "Robert, can I ask you something?" "Sure, babe." "Why didn't you come to the hospital?" "When I had the heart attack?" He froze for just a second, then recovered. "I told you. I didn't get the messages until later. My phone died." "Your phone died?" "Yeah, I felt terrible when I finally saw them." "But you were already out of surgery and resting. The doctors said you were stable." "I didn't want to wake you." Every word was a lie. "What about the kids? Did you tell them?" "Of course. They wanted to come, but I told them you'd rather rest. That they could visit when you were home and feeling better." "More lies. That was thoughtful of you." "I'm your husband. I take care of you." He handed me a plate of lo mein. "Eat. You need your strength." I ate the noodles and smiled and played the grateful wife. And inside, I was calculating exactly how I was going to destroy him. The next day, Martin came to the house while Robert was at work. He brought new will documents, power of attorney forms, healthcare directives, everything. "Patricia, are you sure about this?" Martin asked as we sat at my kitchen table. "These changes are significant. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. I signed everything, changed everything." My life insurance beneficiary was no longer Robert. It was now split between 3 charities: the American Heart Association, a women's shelter in Charleston, and a scholarship fund for nursing students at my hospital. My pension survivor benefits also going to charity. Not a penny to Robert. My retirement accounts? I designated my nieces and nephews as beneficiaries. The children of my sisters who'd been willing to wait for me to die. Their kids would get the money instead. My half of the house? I transferred my ownership interest into a trust. If I died, the trust would force the sale of the house and donate my half of the proceeds to charity. Robert would have to buy me out or sell. And that secret condo Robert owned? I filed a legal claim against it. As a marital asset purchased during our marriage with marital funds, I was entitled to half its value. Martin filed the paperwork that afternoon. Patricia, when Robert finds out about this, he won't, not until it's too late. How long until these changes are legally binding? They're binding the moment you sign them. But Patricia, you should consider divorce. Clearly this marriage is... I'm getting there, Martin. But I need to handle a few more things first. After Martin left, I made more calls. First, to the insurance company that issued the secret policy on my life. I reported the policy as fraudulent, told them I'd never applied for it, never signed any documents, and suspected my signature had been forged. They opened an investigation immediately. Then I called my 3 children, left voicemails for all of them. Hi, honey, it's Mom. I'm home from the hospital.
Recovering well.
I'd really love to see you. I have something important to discuss about my will and your inheritance. Call me back when you get a chance. I knew that last part would get their attention. Mention inheritance, and suddenly I mattered again. Daniel called back within an hour. Hey, Mom, glad you're feeling better. What's this about the will? I had a heart attack, Daniel. It made me think about mortality, about making sure my affairs are in order. I'd like to sit down with you and your siblings and go over everything. Make sure you understand what happens if something happens to me. Oh, sure, when? How about Sunday dinner? Here at the house? I'll make a roast. I'll have to check my calendar. Daniel, I almost died. I'm asking you to have dinner with your mother. One dinner. Long pause. Okay, Sunday works. 6 p.m., don't be late. I called Michelle next. Same conversation. Same reluctant agreement. Aaron actually seemed excited. Does this mean you're giving us money now? We'll discuss everything on Sunday, Aaron. 3 for 3. They'd all be here Sunday. Perfect. I also called my sisters. Left messages. Carol called back first. Patricia, how are you feeling? Suddenly she cared. I'm okay, Carol. Listen, I'm having a family dinner Sunday. I'd love for you and Janet to come. I want to talk to everyone about estate planning. Oh, that's probably something just for Robert and the kids. I'd really like you there. You're my sister. You should understand what my wishes are. Well, if it's that important to you, sure. I'll come. Janet agreed too. Everyone was coming. Everyone who'd decided to abandon me because they thought I was dying and they wanted to make sure they got paid. Sunday was going to be very interesting. Saturday morning, Robert left for golf with clients. He wouldn't be back until late afternoon. Perfect. I drove to a storage facility across town, rented a unit, spent the day moving things from our house into storage. My photo albums, my mother's jewelry, my grandmother's china, my personal documents, anything that mattered to me, anything with sentimental value. I packed up and hid away where Robert couldn't touch it. Then I went to the bank, our bank, where we had our joint checking and savings accounts. I withdrew half of everything. My legal right as a joint account holder, $23,000 in cash. I opened a new account at a different bank in my name only and deposited the money there. I also went to our safe deposit box at the bank. Inside were bonds, stock certificates, my original birth certificate, our marriage license. I took my birth certificate, left everything else, but I photographed it all. Every document, every stock certificate, more evidence of assets I was entitled to. By Saturday night, I'd protected everything that mattered and documented everything I'd need for the divorce I was absolutely going to file. Robert came home sunburned and happy from his golf game, that I'm sure was really a day drinking with whoever he was probably cheating with. Because men who hide money usually hide women too. How was golf? I asked sweetly. Great, won $50 off Johnson. He kissed my forehead. How are you feeling? Good, really good actually. I'm making a big family dinner tomorrow. Everyone's coming. Everyone? The kids, my sisters, you and me? I want us all together. After the heart attack, I realized how important family is. He looked uncomfortable. That's great, honey. That's great. He had no idea what was coming. Sunday arrived. I spent all day cooking. Roast beef, mashed potatoes, green beans, rolls, apple pie. The whole spread. The kind of meal I used to make every Sunday when the kids were little and family dinners actually meant something. 6 p.m. they started arriving. Daniel showed up first, alone. Hey, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. Thank you for coming. I hugged him. He barely hugged back. Michelle and Derek arrived next. Michelle looked annoyed to be there. Derek looked terrified. Hi, Mom, Michelle said, air kissing near my cheek. House smells good. Thank you, honey. Derek met my eyes. I nodded slightly. It's okay. I'm ready. Aaron rolled in 20 minutes late. Sorry, traffic. There's no traffic in Charleston on a Sunday evening, but I let it go. Carol and Janet arrived together. Both overdressed like this was a social event and not a family dinner. Patricia, you look wonderful. Carol hugged me. We were so worried. No, you weren't, I thought, but I smiled. Thank you for coming. Robert played host, getting everyone drinks, making small talk. The perfect husband and father. We sat down to dinner. Everyone filled their plates. Started eating. I waited until everyone had food in their mouths. Then I stood up. Thank you all for coming. I know everyone's busy, so I really appreciate you making time for me tonight. Of course, Mom, Daniel said. Your family. Am I? I looked at him. Am I really family, Daniel? Because you didn't come to the hospital when I had a heart attack. His fork stopped halfway to his mouth. I was at work. You weren't at work. You just didn't care enough to come. Mom, that's not fair. Neither did you, Michelle. Neither did Aaron. Neither did Carol or Janet. I looked at each of them. The only person who came to see me was Derek. Michelle glared at Derek. You went to the hospital? Someone had to, Derek said quietly. And when Derek came, I continued, he told me something very interesting. He told me about a meeting you all had 3 months ago about my cancer diagnosis. The room went silent. The cancer I don't actually have. The cancer my husband made up, so you'd all emotionally abandon me and wait for me to die so you could collect insurance money. Robert's face went white. Patricia, what are you? Don't. I held up my hand. Don't lie to me anymore, Robert. I heard the recording. Derek recorded the whole meeting. Want to hear it? I pulled out my phone. Pressed play. My family's voices filled the dining room. Every word, every calculation, every cruel laugh, every greedy plan. When it ended, no one spoke. So here's what's going to happen, I said calmly. I've changed my will. None of you are in it anymore. Not one penny of my life insurance or pension or retirement or anything else is going to any of you. It's all going to charity. You can't do that, Aaron shouted. I absolutely can. I did it yesterday. It's legal and binding. What about us? Carol demanded. We're your sisters. You were never in my will to begin with. Robert lied to you. You were going to get nothing anyway. Carol and Janet looked at Robert with pure hatred. And Robert? I turned to my husband. I found your secret bank account. The rental property you've been hiding, and that $1 million life insurance policy you took out on me without my knowledge. I've reported it as fraud. They're investigating, and I've filed for divorce. You'll be served papers tomorrow. Patricia, 35 years. I gave you 35 years. Raised your children, worked full-time to help support this family, and you decided the best way to retire comfortably was to wait for me to die and collect insurance money. Well, I'm not dying. I'm very much alive, and I'm taking half of everything in the divorce, including that condo. Robert stood up. You can't prove any of this. I have bank statements, property records, insurance documents, and a recording of you conspiring to financially abuse your wife. Oh, and about that fake cancer diagnosis? That's fraud too. You forged medical information. That's a crime, Robert. His face went from white to red. Everyone needs to leave now, I said. This is still my house until the divorce is final. You're no longer welcome here. Any of you? Mom, please. Michelle started. Don't call me Mom. You don't get to call me that anymore. None of you wanted me when you thought I was dying. You don't get me now that I'm living. Daniel stood up. This is insane. You're being emotional. Get out, I screamed. All of you! Get out of my house. Derek stood. I'm sorry, Mrs. Williams. For what it's worth, I'm really sorry. I know, Derek, thank you. He left first. Then Michelle, shooting daggers at him. Then Aaron, then Daniel. My sisters practically ran out the door. Robert was the last one standing there. You'll regret this, he said quietly. The only thing I regret is wasting 35 years on you. He grabbed his keys and left, and I stood alone in my dining room, surrounded by a dinner no one had eaten, and I smiled, because for the first time in 35 years I was free. The divorce took 8 months, 8 brutal, ugly, expensive months, where Robert fought me on everything. He hired a shark lawyer who tried to claim I was mentally unstable, that the heart attack had affected my judgment, that I was being manipulated by outside influences. They tried to get the will changes thrown out, tried to claim the recording was inadmissible, tried everything to paint me as the villain in a story. where they'd literally plotted my death for money. But I had Martin, and Martin was better. We presented everything in court: the secret bank accounts, the hidden rental property, the forged insurance policy that the insurance company had already voided and reported to the authorities, the recording of the family meeting, where Robert explicitly stated his plan to emotionally abandon me until I died. The judge was a man in his 60s named Harold Brennan. He'd been on the bench for 30 years, and he'd seen everything. But even he looked disgusted as he listened to the evidence. "Mr. Williams," Judge Brennan said, peering over his glasses at Robert, "in my 3 decades as a family court judge, I have never seen a more calculated and cruel betrayal of marital trust. You fabricated a terminal illness to manipulate not only your wife, but your entire family into participating in what amounts to elder abuse and financial exploitation." "Your Honor, I can explain," Robert's lawyer started. "I don't want to hear it, counselor. The evidence speaks for itself." He turned to me. "Mrs. Williams, I'm granting your petition for divorce. All marital assets will be divided equally. The rental property in Myrtle Beach, which Mr. Williams attempted to hide, will be sold and the proceeds split 50-50. Mr. Williams will also pay your legal fees in full as punishment for his fraudulent conduct." Robert's face went purple. "Furthermore," the judge continued, "I'm ordering Mr. Williams to pay spousal support of $3,000 per month for 5 years, given that Mrs. Williams's health condition was caused in part by the extreme emotional distress of this situation." "Your Honor, that's excessive," Robert's lawyer objected. "Your client tried to profit from his wife's death. $3,000 a month is generous. He's lucky I'm not holding him in criminal contempt." Judge Brennan banged his gavel. "We're done here. Divorce granted." I walked out of that courtroom with everything. Half the house proceeds. We sold it for $680,000. I got $340,000, half. The condo proceeds. It sold for $375,000. I got $187,500, half. Of Robert's retirement accounts, another $190,000. My own retirement stayed intact, and my life insurance with its new beneficiaries was mine to keep, plus $3,000 a month in spousal support that Robert would have to pay while he rebuilt his life from nothing. I walked away with over $700,000 in cash and assets. Robert walked away with his half and the knowledge that his reputation was destroyed. Because the story got out, small towns talk, and Charleston loves a scandal. Within weeks, everyone knew. The guy who'd faked his wife's cancer diagnosis to collect insurance money. The family that had gathered like vultures waiting for a woman to die. It was all anyone could talk about at the country club, at the grocery store, at church. Robert's business suffered. He was a financial consultant. And who wants financial advice from a man who commits financial fraud against his own wife? He lost clients, lost contracts, had to sell his BMW and downgrade to a used Camry. My children? They got nothing from me, but they lost something more valuable, their reputations. Daniel's fiancée broke up with him when she heard what he'd done. "I can't marry someone who'd abandon their mother in a hospital," she told him, according to the mutual friend who gleefully reported it to me. Michelle's marriage to Derek didn't survive. He filed for divorce 6 months after my family dinner, citing irreconcilable differences. But everyone knew the real reason. He couldn't stay married to someone that cruel. He got custody of their 2 kids because Michelle's own actions proved she lacked empathy and moral judgment. I see Derek sometimes. He brings the kids to visit me, my grandchildren, the only family members who still love me unconditionally because they're too young to understand greed. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner," Derek said during one of those visits, watching his daughters play in my new backyard. "You told me when it mattered," I said. "You saved my life, Derek, not from the heart attack, from wasting whatever time I have left on people who didn't deserve it." Aaron, he's still struggling. His startup never started. Last I heard, he was working at a call center, still living in a studio apartment at 26 years old, still waiting for his big break. That will never come because he has no work ethic and no integrity. My sisters stopped speaking to me entirely, which is fine. They chose greed over family. They can live with that choice. The whole experience taught me something important. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. And the only person who showed up when it mattered was someone who had no obligation to me at all. After the divorce was final, I did something I'd dreamed about for years but never had the courage to do. I quit my job at the hospital After 30 years of nursing, of taking care of everyone else, I decided it was time to take care of myself. I bought a small beach house in Folly Beach, just outside Charleston. 2 bedrooms, wraparound porch, view of the ocean. It cost me $285,000. I paid cash. I wake up every morning to the sound of waves. I have coffee on my porch. I read books I never had time for. I take long walks on the beach. I volunteer at the local animal shelter because dogs don't betray you for insurance money. I'm dating again. A retired teacher named Frank who lives 3 houses down. He's kind, funny, and when I told him about my heart attack, he drove me to my cardiologist appointment because he didn't want me to go alone. That's what love looks like. Not grand gestures, just showing up. My health has improved too. The cardiologist says my heart function is better than expected. The stent is working perfectly. My cholesterol is down. My blood pressure is controlled. Turns out, removing toxic people from your life is better for your heart than any medication. I'm not rich. I'm comfortable. I have enough money to live modestly for the rest of my life. To travel a little, to enjoy myself. I'm not leaving an inheritance for anyone, except maybe a donation to the animal shelter when I'm gone. And I'm happy. Genuinely, deeply happy in a way. I never was in that big house in Charleston with a husband who didn't love me and children who saw me as a bank account. 6 months after I moved to Folly Beach, I got a letter in the mail from Michelle. Dear Mom, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know what I did was unforgivable. I've been in therapy trying to understand how I became the kind of person who could do what I did. My therapist says I learned to value money over people from Dad. And that doesn't excuse my behavior, but maybe it explains it. Derek has the kids now. He won't let me see them unsupervised because he says I need to prove I've changed. He's right. I need to prove it to him, to them, and to you. I don't expect you to respond to this letter. I don't expect you to ever want to see me again. But I needed you to know that I'm sorry, truly deeply sorry. Not because I lost my inheritance, I deserve to lose it, but because I lost my mother. And that's a punishment worse than anything a judge could give me. I love you. I know I have a terrible way of showing it, but I do love you. Michelle. I read that letter 3 times, cried over it, thought about it for days. Then I wrote back, Michelle, I appreciate your apology. I believe you're sorry. Sorry you got caught. Sorry you faced consequences. Maybe even genuinely sorry you hurt me. But an apology doesn't erase what you did. It doesn't give me back the months I spent thinking I was invisible to my own family. It doesn't heal the damage to my heart, literal and metaphorical. You're right that you learned to value money over people. But you're an adult. You had choices. You chose greed over compassion. You chose to let your mother suffer alone because it was convenient for your bank account. I forgive you because holding on to anger is bad for my heart. And I've worked too hard to keep this heart beating. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It means I release you from my anger, but I also release myself from any obligation to you. If you want a relationship with me, you'll have to earn it. Not with apologies or therapy or grand gestures, but with time, with changed behavior, with proof that you've become someone I'd actually want in my life. Until then, I wish you well. I hope you become a better person. I hope you repair your relationship with your children, but I don't need to be part of that journey. Take care of yourself. Patricia. I sent it, and I felt lighter. She wrote back once more, saying she understood and would give me space. I haven't heard from her since. Maybe someday we'll rebuild something. Maybe we won't. Either way, I'll be okay. Daniel never apologized. Neither did Aaron. Neither did my sisters. They're all still convinced I overreacted, that I should have just quietly died and made everyone's lives easier. Robert sent me one text message, 8 months after the divorce was final. You destroyed my life. I wrote back, no, I stopped letting you destroy mine. There's a difference. He never responded. Last month was the 1-year anniversary of my heart attack. Instead of being a day of trauma, I decided to make it a day of celebration. I threw a party, invited the friends I'd made in Folly Beach, the neighbors who'd welcomed me, the people from the animal shelter, Frank, of course, who brought homemade key lime pie. Derek came with my granddaughters. They're 7 and 5 now, beautiful and smart and full of joy. They don't ask about their mother much. They're happy with their dad, happy with the life he's building for them away from toxicity. We ate cake on my porch overlooking the ocean. I told stories about my year of transformation. Everyone laughed and cried and celebrated this strange, wonderful second chance at life I'd been given. Make a wish, Grandma, my youngest granddaughter said, pointing at the candles on my cake. I closed my eyes. What did I wish for? Not for my old family to come back? Not for Robert to suffer more than he already has? Not for revenge or justice or anything backward-looking. I wished for more mornings waking up to the ocean. More walks with Frank. More time with my granddaughters. More years of this peaceful, authentic, beautiful life I'd built from the ashes of betrayal. I blew out the candles, and everyone cheered. Later that night, after everyone had gone home and I was alone on my porch with a glass of wine, watching the sun set over the water, I thought about that moment in the hospital, the moment when Derek walked through the door and changed everything. If he hadn't come, I never would have known. I would have kept playing the role of devoted wife and mother. While my family waited for me to die, I would have given them everything in my will. I would have made their betrayal profitable. But Derek gave me the truth, and the truth, as painful as it was, set me free. I pulled out my phone and sent him a text. Thank you for everything. You saved my life in more ways than one. He responded immediately. You deserve the truth, Patricia. Everyone deserves the truth. I'm just glad you're happy now. I am. Happier than I've been in decades. Good, that's what you deserve. I put my phone down and looked out at the ocean, at the endless horizon, at all the possibilities stretched out before me. 58 years old, divorced, estranged from most of my family. Living alone in a beach house with a rescued dog named Charlie who snored at my feet. And completely, utterly, joyfully free. So here's what I need from you. If you've ever been taken for granted by your family, comment invisible. If you think my family got exactly what they deserved, comment karma. If you've ever had to choose between toxic family and your own peace, comment freedom. But most importantly, subscribe right now. We're building a community where women's stories matter, where we remind each other that we're worth more than how we're treated, where we celebrate second chances and new beginnings. Hit subscribe, hit like. Share this with every woman who needs to hear that it's never too late to start over. That family is who shows up. That you are worthy of love and respect, even if the people who should love you most can't see it. My name is Patricia Williams. I'm 58 years old. I had a heart attack and nobody from my family came to the hospital except one person. That person gave me the truth that destroyed my family but saved my life. I lost a husband, 3 children, and 2 sisters. But I gained myself back. And that's worth more than any inheritance could ever be. Thank you for listening to my confession.